How you doing? Today we're going to talk about a few things that you can keep in the trunk of your vehicle in case of a winter emergency. So if you haven't watched the other parts, make sure you start at part 1 and work your way through. So let's go into a couple other comfort goods. All right, so you are stuck and say you have to wait for a few hours or even a day for rescue team to get there. You're probably gonna want some of this. I don't have to go into what this is used for, but it's good to have with you. The other thing, ladies, always good to have some of these on hand, just in case. You never know. Let's get sun's starting to go down. And I also carry some of these. Now it might look like a pill or something like that, but this is actually turns into just a cotton cloth and uses a little bit of water and just a drop of water, and it starts expanding. These are great for washing your hands off. If you had to work on your vehicle and you got grease or oil or something on your hands, you can wipe it off there. It's also cotton, so it'll light on fire. And then if you're like me and you were blessed with incredibly poor vision, having extra contacts as well as glasses. I actually have a whole old pair of glasses in the vehicle as well, just in case if contacts dry out, you have to go overnight, so you don't have any solution. Having extra pair of contacts will help save you the possible necessity of driving half blind, which isn't safe for anybody. Some other, I would say, comfort-esque things are fire and warmth, right? We have shelter. That's one thing. This is a alcohol stove. So I'll do another vehicle on this, or another video on this. So make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you get updated once I do some more videos in the future. But this is incredibly easy to make and very inexpensive. So this is a paint can, unused. You don't want any paint in there. It was like $2. It has a toilet paper roll without the middle insert and rubbing alcohol. Incredibly easy to light up, incredibly efficient. This burns a long time. I burned so far with this probably about 45 minutes, and it's still basically at the top. It's almost like a homemade sterno lighter. So you want to have that for cooking, for staying warm, but you do want to have ventilation when you run this. You want CO2 poisoning or carbon monoxide poisoning, CO, excuse me. And then you're also going to need something to light it with. So these are fire starters, fire starting kit. So I have lighter, just because it's the easiest to do, and so it'll light that up real quick. I do have fire starters if I want to do a wood fire, and I keep those in there just because even if you know how to start a fire without it, it's much easier, especially in the winter when things are cold and harder to start. But the lighters in very, very cold weather, particularly, sometimes they don't spark. So I have some matches here just in case. These are windproof, waterproof matches. You can buy, I personally, I forget the brand of these, but I love these fire starters. They burn really hot and burn for a while. Always can get something started with that. But if you are in a pinch, Vaseline with cotton swabs, cotton balls, they work really well. They light up in like a second. So they're always good to have as well. Again, redundancy when it comes to light and fire, in my opinion. And then we need water. So this is a single-walled water bottle, steel. And the reason that it's single-walled is that you can heat up things. Melt snow for water, so you can't eat snow directly in your mouth to hydrate yourself. Snow, the way it freezes, does not have any minerals. So if you consume a lot of snow without melting it and adding some sort of mineral into it, you're actually going to dehydrate yourself, because your body, you're gonna, you know, when you pee out minerals and things like that. So if you eat a ton of snow, you start diluting all that. Your body uses it and you'll lose it. And so you can melt the snow. You can keep like some salt or something in there as well to throw in to keep you hydrated. And then also eating snow lowers your internal body temperature, and you can throw yourself into hypothermia faster. So, and also if you don't know the source, if you do find running water, you always want to, you know, if you don't know the source, you want to bring it to a boil and decontaminate it. One note with the water bottle is if you do fill it up, don't fill it up all the way, obviously, because it could crack. When water freezes, it expands and it cracks. So leave a little bit of space in there. All right, let's get into a little bit more maintenance things, fix-its, quick fixes. So I always carry with me a few sizes of zip ties. I can't tell you how many times and how often I use zip ties. I was off-roading once and my back left brake caliper seized up and had to basically take it off. So I had to drive home with 3 brakes and the caliper. I hung it up with zip ties directly on the frame. So zip ties were a lifesaver on there. And then the other thing I always have with me is duct tape. And as the old saying goes, if you can't duck it, well, you should know the rest. This is 10 feet, and I love duct tape because you can reuse it. As long as it's a flat or a smooth surface, you can reuse it, especially if you do around something a couple times. You can reuse any of the duct tape that was on itself, even if the duct tape that touched the surface itself you have to sacrifice, but you'll still get at least some portion of it back. And I always fold it right on top of each other, and it's just a lot more space saving than having that massive roll. In the case of an emergency, you want to have a way to let others know, vehicle up ahead, watch out. And you know, there's a lot of different reasons for that. Maybe at night, maybe there's an issue with the visibility, snowstorm, things like that. If it's dark, you might be coming around a corner, you're right at the corner. So having some sort of light to let people know, hey, there's a vehicle on the road or there's an issue with the vehicle. So this is a cheesy little thing that connects into the cigarette outlet, flares, some sort of, hey, look out, notification thing. Prybar. Not something you typically would think about for keeping in your vehicle, but great for if you run off the road and you know, you bang up your door and you can't get the door open, you can pry it open. Same thing with the trunk, or say for instance you come across another vehicle that got hit and you can't get the door open, then you can pry it open and save anybody that was in there. Can be used for self-defense. Just a ton of different good things you can do with the pry bar. And then something else I never leave the house without is a multi-tool. And this one has needle nose and regular pliers that have a little bit more where you can get like nuts. You can use it as a, you know, just unscrewing things. This one's kind of cheap. This isn't the one, like this is one I keep in my vehicle, but not the best one I have, but it's there. It's, you know, it's better. Something is better than nothing. This is rolled up trash bags, contractor bags to be exact. They're a little bit thicker. Tons of different uses for these, not just for trash. You can use it to set on the ground and lay on to stay dry. You can cut a hole for your head and your arms and turn it into an emergency poncho. You can fill it with stuff, you know, if you need to gather anything, such as water to drink. And you can also make a makeshift sleeping bag. So sleeping directly on the ground is going to become very cold due to a little bit of science. Basically, your heat in your body is going to leave and get sucked into the ground. And what you can do is you can fill this with sticks, pine needles, things like that, and create a little barrier between yourself and the ground to stay warmer with your wool blanket that you have since you packed it. Sunglasses. Something, keep a pair in your vehicle at all times, but the reason I bring it up is wintertime, there's a thing called snow blindness. It's real, it can happen. The UV rays can bounce off the snow into your eyes and actually cause you to go blind. It's just a very intense amount of light coming from everywhere. And so sunglasses are super important, especially they're always important, but in the winter, they're also important. Now the opposite of zip ties and duct tape is WD-40. It's a cute little baby can. Doesn't take up a lot of space, but if something is moving that shouldn't be moving, you got your duct tape and your zip ties. If something's not moving that should be moving, WD-40 works on so many things. This shit is honestly amazing. So it's always good to have a little can with you just in case. This is a tire pressure gauge, and always have one in there. I go off-roading, so I keep it on there, but everyone should have it. If you have a low tire pressure signal on your dash, you need to know which tire it is. More of the modern cars they show you what it is, but still it's good to have a little backup, especially when you're filling up your tires. If it's warm and the temperatures drop dramatically, cold air shrinks. So the amount of air in your tires is gonna also shrink. And so you could go to bed one night and have full tires, and then the next morning you wake up and you have low tire pressure. And your tires are designed to work at a certain pressure for the optimal performance. And if it goes below that, well, they're not gonna work the way they're designed. So you wanna keep your tires inflated. Food, calories. When you're cold, your body works a lot harder, burns a lot more calories to stay warm. So you wanna replenish your calories. Like I said, you can go about 3 weeks, rule of thumb, depending on how much body fat is on you and a lot of other variables, but who wants to go 3 weeks without eating? A lot of people get miserable after 2 hours without food, so it's good to have something a little bit more morale booster even. Just find something that you can keep for a while that's not gonna, go bad in a few days. Paracord. What can't you do with paracord? So paracord, if you're not familiar with it, is what they use for parachutes. So it's 550 cord. So the strength is 550 pounds is what that's for. And it's made up of little, I believe, nylon strands. So you can use this all the way in its entirety for building shelter, carrying things, tying things up, whatever it is. Or you can also, if you need smaller things, sewing, whatever it is, whatever your need, you can cut off pieces and pull that out. And so you have a bunch of tiny strands. You can use your lighter once you cut it to seal the ends up so it doesn't start pulling back like that. But I left this uncovered so I can show everybody what the inside looks like. But that's about 50 feet or so. Great stuff to have, especially if you're in the backpacking and things like that. I keep a hatchet in there. If there's ever a need to gather wood, branches, things like that. Hatchet or a handsaw would be even more efficient. But again, you can use it for self-defense if need be. Gathering wood if you do need to stay warm, things like that. Little memo book. So I have this memo book with a golf pencil on there. The reason I use a pencil versus a pen or something like Sharpie or anything like that is Sharpie's pens, they can dry up and they can sometimes not work when it's super cold. So I use a pen that you can sharpen with your knife, and you can leave little notes. If you, except most of the time when you're in a vehicle related incident, people are gonna see your vehicle way before they see you. And if you do need to go somewhere, if you're walking to a gas station and someone sees a vehicle in the ditch with nobody in it, they're going to be curious on where they are, what happened, you know, are they hurt? So you can leave a note in your vehicle saying, I went north, or I went this way or that way to search for gas. You can take, if someone does hit you, you can write down their insurance information. Just, it's nice having something to keep notes to let people know where you are, where you're going, what happened, things like that. These are some spare fuses. A lot of times, if your car's starting, but there's some other issue electronically, start with a fuse box. So I keep a bunch of various size fuses in here, and obviously you need to know where your fuse box is as well. Not many people could probably tell you where to replace a fuse. A lot of times it's behind the glove compartment. Sometimes it's not. In my case, for the Jeep, it's underneath the hood in the engine compartment. So just know where that is, how to access it, and get familiar with some of them. If it doesn't have, a lot of times they will have a diagram of what is what, and then you can also find that in your manual in your vehicle about, you know, if something's not working, if the lights in your vehicle aren't working, check the fuse, things like that before you start tearing anything out. So get familiar with your fuse box. And then lastly is just medicine in general. You know, like in the med kit I keep aspirin, ibuprofen, things like that, but if you take any certain medications, especially pill form, try to keep extra in there just in case, a couple days supply. If it's something you can't leave in your vehicle, you know, think about having a little handbag with some of that stuff with you if you're going particularly long trips. You know, if you're going down, and this goes for everything, if you're just going down to the grocery store, you're probably not going to run into a lot of issues besides maybe a dead battery or a tire or something like that. We have to replace your tire, so you don't have to carry all this stuff down to the grocery store in terms of medicine. But if you're going on longer trips, make sure you pack enough for a couple days extra. So that's it, guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate you watching. Be sure to subscribe so you can check out some of the other videos coming their way. And if you want to know anything further, I can always break this down. There's a lot of information, pretty high level stuff. So just make sure that you know how to use everything. And you don't have to go out and spend a ton of money on this stuff right away. There's a lot of this. It's honestly not as expensive as you think it would be, but you definitely want to get stuff that's going to last you. If you need something and you try using it the first time and it breaks, it's not going to do you any good. So, spend a little bit extra money on a little bit nicer flashlight or a nicer knife, things like that, and just learn how to use it. Learn how to use it. God bless you.